Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's been doing okay. My whole family's been pretty sick this week. I know a lot of stuff's been going around as we come to the close of 2022 this year. It's been a tough year for a lot of people, so looking forward to 2023 and hoping to end on a high note here. So thanks for joining today. This is going to be the first of a three-part series. I got an exciting shipment from New Zealand today, so I wanted to start off by thanking Erik's Curiosa and the company for sending me a few items, which I will be showcasing over the next 3 videos. This will be the first in that series of 3. So I'm really excited to show that. I'm going to start with the website today. I figured what I'd do is feature these items along with the artists who were instrumental in making them possible, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. But I'm going to start today with Melissa Benson. So I'm at the Collector Art House website. And you see on the page here, these are all artworks by Melissa Benson, with the exception of this one on the upper left. This is actually by Margaret Organ Keene. But all these other artworks here shown on this page. This is the Sorcery Art Gallery page where you go and you see the full artworks from each of the artists. So basically, this is what you will see on the reverse side of the foil cards. And then also when you see it in this format, obviously you see it with all the text boxes removed, so you get to see the full appreciation of the full illustration concept, and in some cases some interesting things that lie beneath the game mechanic box at the bottom that would otherwise be covered up by that box. So you see Melissa's beautiful artwork. She did several pieces for the game. I think a lot of these we're expecting to see in Alpha, which is really exciting. Coming down here, the 4 cards, they're known as the gem cards by some of the early adopters because they were initially called various gem types. Now they're called core cards, C-O-R-E. So a bit of a change there, but these cards are very strong and powerful. Those will definitely be chase cards in the game. The Screaming Skull is a real early standout, super popular card that caught everybody's eye right away. I know that was one of my favorites for sure and still is. And then you see the last few of her pieces that I was able to track down through the scarabs here. So all, it's classically typical, beautiful artwork by Melissa. Always great to see. And then I wanted to point you to, I'm going to go to the live cam in a moment, but I did a behind the art feature on at least one of her cards, I believe. And I know I have some information on Screaming Skull and a few others that I've been meaning to write up, but I have this one on Plume Pegasus. Really interesting story here. I won't get into all the details, but just a couple of the highlights. She had noted how it relates to a very early Alpha Magic the Gathering painting she had done, Mesa Pegasus, right? And that's a beautiful Mesa Pegasus artwork that she did for that game. This was an early concept sketch that she had for that card. And she had been working that with Jesper Merforce, the original Alpha Magic art director. And I guess he asked for a change to her initial sketch design, so it evolved into this, which I think she said was a good call at the time, because this was like a beautiful outcome. This card looks really great. I love this artwork here. Here's the original painting and the actual card. But the beautiful thing about this opportunity in Sorcery is that now, almost 30 years later, she was able to kind of resurrect this concept and mold it into what we now know as the Plume Pegasus. You see that kind of the peacock feathering, if I'm getting that right, on the tail of the Pegasus. So it's really interesting to see how those relate, given that this is the Alpha debut of both games, comparing the Alpha debuts of the two, and given that Sorcery draws a lot of influence from early Magic and that whole vintage TCG era. So now I wanted to go to the live cam for the big reveal. And here you're going to see the Screaming Skull playmat. And I got a few of Melissa's cards on the sides. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But let me zoom in here a bit, and you can see this gorgeous playmat. Just the colors are incredible. I know that this one, I think actually some people had reverse engineered the number of playmats that were bought for each of the different types that were available. And this one was super popular, and you could see why. It looks absolutely incredible. Now with the playmats, there are 2 sizes of playmats. This is like the single player playmat, and hold for a minute there. I will show you the one I have been featuring on a lot of my videos is this Frazetta playmat. And you can see that this is pretty standard size. You know, if I overlay this, it's almost a pretty exact match. So to single players, like your typical playmat you would play in most 1v1 or single player type games, you know, that are not board centric games. So the Screaming Skull single player is comparable. And you see some of the, I mean, all of these are going to be awesome. I know whatever you selected from the Alpha Kickstarter release is going to look great because the sorcery art in full art display without any of the game mechanic text box and titles and things just is going to present amazingly. But it's really cool to see this in full form and how the skull takes up, you know, like a prominent feature, perfectly centered within the card. That's something like when you go to more of a landscape view versus a portrait style view, translating a card to playmat, it doesn't always work, right? But you can see that this was very tastefully done and not stretched in a way that makes it disproportionate or anything like that. And you really see the full features that Melissa did here and the symbology, you know, that she baked in. And, you know, there's some interesting things you can research and see try to figure out what these symbols mean. I think we had a discussion about that in the Sorcery Facebook group that you can go search for and read up on. Really fascinating. And also, in one of my Patreon posts, I had shared the background of what Melissa had told me about this particular artwork. So I made that public so folks can go see that, and you could find the link in the description here. But you see some of the basic features, the grid layout for single player, you know, and then your opponent would have something as well, presumably, or once you both players become better versed in the game, you know, you don't really need a playmat to play. That's something that's been stated pretty clearly by the company and people that have been playing the game. But you get the sorcery logo in the bottom left, and then the alpha symbol in the lower right, and that's going to be the key distinguishing factor that makes that exclusive to the Alpha Kickstarter fulfillment. So these playmats were only offered through the Kickstarter pledge as add-on options, and then in the backer kit after the campaign you were able to add more of those if you had chosen to. That window has now closed, so now those orders are being fulfilled. I think this is, but I remember correctly when talking to Simon, I think he had mentioned that this is a test print copy, and he was going to talk to Erik, and Erik actually sent me a few of these that he had with him in New Zealand. So this might not be the official final release, but nevertheless, this is basically what it is, right? And I'm really thankful to be able to share this with folks for the first time. I think you're going to be very excited by the quality, the finished quality, the materials quality, you know, is high end like you would expect from anything from Sorcery. And it just looks really awesome. You're going to be really excited to get it. I know, I think I ordered at least a few in different artworks. I think I actually ordered one of these too. I had to have this particular artwork and a few others that I'll show in after release, and then also two others that I have that I'll share in a subsequent video. But what I wanted to do next is I have some of Melissa's sample cards. So I'm going to show a few of those. And then I was going through my old Magic collection. For those of you that are maybe not so well versed in Magic or Melissa Benson's background, or just learning about her through Sorcery, give you a little context here of what she is very well known and famous for. So of course, you know, the first thing when you think Melissa Benson and you've been around the Magic scene at all, if you played in the early 90s, I played as a kid in the 90s. That's really what initially caught my eye in Sorcery and did it for me, was the nostalgia of that era, which is basically the target market or key component of the flavor and vibe of Sorcery that'll appeal to middle-aged people, essentially, that have been part of the Magic experience or were as a kid, or just that early 90s gaming TCG scene, right? So back when Magic came out, Melissa Benson had done some pretty pivotal artworks for really iconic cards that are huge in Magic, right? And first and foremost, the Shivan Dragon, I call it the card of everybody's childhood, right? The 5/5 flying dragon that was mega powerful. You know, you could get in Revised Edition. I think that's what these two copies are from Revised. You can see I probably played with this one. It was pretty well loved there. This one's in a little better condition. I know I had some that were better protected than others, but you know, I was just a kid having fun. But these were real powerful creatures. You know, the stats 5/5 and reasonable 6 mana costs to cast, and then you could beef it up with additional red mana. And it was flying, you know, which is an extra powerful effect. So that was a super powerful and popular card. And then you had Nightmare, which is another beautiful iconic card, which people compare to one of Melissa's pieces, which I tried to help her dispel. You know, I brought that up, and she's like, no. You know, there's a lot of distinct differences, and she's right. And I think, do I have a copy of that one? No, I don't think I have that in sample card form, unfortunately. But anyway, I talk about that on the Facebook page as well. You could go and find that in the Facebook group. That's another really iconic card. And then I'd say the third one is probably Lord of Atlantis. And this kind of reminds you a bit, in a way, when it reminded me a little bit of the coral reef harpies. I know she'd say that now these are completely different species and probably entirely unrelated, and that's true. But just in the sense that, like, when you see her style, it's very recognizable. I talked about this in another recent video where her artwork, you just know it's hers right away. Just the beautiful quality of it, and the vibrant colors, and just her style in coming up with design concepts have been consistent over the years, and they're always very flavorful and memorable and really beautiful. So I will get into the sorcery cards in a moment, but then I thought it was just interesting. You know, these are the iconic ones that everyone knows right away when you think about Melissa Benson in the background here: the Shivan Dragons, the Nightmare, the Lord of Atlantis. But then I was looking through my collection, and then, you know, later in life, the cool thing is, as you grow to appreciate the art more and not just the game, like what the most powerful cards are, you really get appreciation for like all the work she's done, you know. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing about TCGs. You know, players don't appreciate as much sometimes the cards that aren't as powerful, or the artwork for the cards that aren't as powerful. But, you know, it's all great. This is all takes the same amount of time for the artist, right? And the same amount of love and care. And I think Sorcery does a fantastic job of really featuring the art, and you're really going to appreciate every card that you see. And I'll get to that in a moment when you see the Sorcery cards. But just the design layout of the card itself just forces that appreciation on you, because it's front and center. It's the main focal point of the card itself, considering that it's built to the edge and it's full art and it's extended art, you know, which is kind of like an exception in most games, but it's the norm for Sorcery. So even the most common of cards are really going to pop and look beautiful. All right, and here's your Mesa Pegasus. So I mentioned there's a comparison there, and I do have a few of the Plume Pegasus. So you look at that, you know, and we come full circle here. Let me go to one that has a regular clear penny sleeve within. But you got the Mesa Pegasus from Sorcery, which extends to the full frame of the artwork, right? Let me just show one of those. That's just a beautiful card. It looks amazing. Just an awesome artwork. And then the Mesa Pegasus, right? So her initial sketch concept was something more resembling of this. And then it was kind of scrapped and redone before it was painted, you know, as a sketch evolving to a painting into the Mesa Pegasus for the Alpha debut in Magic. You know, and that's a great, beautiful artwork. But I would love to see that stretched into a Sorcery style card. You know, a full art style card would really do that justice. And it looks great even in a half frame like that, you know. But then in the full frame, everything looks phenomenal. And even though this is an ordinary rarity, that card's going to be really appreciated. And when people pull this from a pack, it's going to feel exciting, and people are going to be impressed, you know, because it's an impressive looking card. So I have a couple copies of those. This one's in the orange sleeve. I won't get into it in this video because I've beaten this drum to death, but this is from the pre-con decks, and this is from the sample packs. So there's a difference there in the sample card provenance. And then you have the Coral Reef Kelpie, another beautiful artwork for your water decks. And then the Root Spider, right? And that's the last one I have as a sample card. So these are the early test print cards. So the design details, and when I say design, I mean in some cases the title, the type line text, or the game mechanic and flavor text may have changed. But the artwork and the general card design layout, you know, that's what you're going to find in the alpha versions. So those are beautiful Sorcery cards you guys are going to see very soon in the alpha debut. This is the Playmat. We're fortunate to have a nice sampling of Playmats that was offered in the initial Kickstarter campaign. So there's going to be a lot of those out. You're going to see at the LGSs and people playing around your neighborhood or your community, wherever you guys play games. But this is one of the best ones, guys. one of the ones I was certainly very excited about, and something to look forward to in just the next couple of months on a release. So stay tuned. There's going to be a part 2 and a part 3. I'm going to show you two more, I don't want to call them sample playmats. These are the real playmats from the company. So 2 more alpha playmats. There's going to be 1 more single player, and then a 2-player mat, which is massive. I'm going to have to zoom out for that one. I was super impressed when I opened that up. If you guys got the 2-player mats, you're going to be happy. Those are like super cool as a display item. That's probably going to be my permanent desktop background going forward here. I'll be using these Sorcery playmats until I get more from the Kickstarter fulfillment. But hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope I did some justice presenting it. I'm a little giddy and excited about it right now, but let me know what you think. Are you guys excited to get some of these? And please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends, and I'll try to get those next couple of videos out soon. All right, take care. Bye.